I'd say I'm pretty good at keeping up with the microbrand scene and new watch releases, and very rarely am I caught off guard with a company I haven't heard of before. Well, in 2017, the company Horloscaphe was founded, and it was founded by a French independent watchmaker who basically designs and assembles all the watches himself. What was more intriguing about this company to me was that these watches are just so simple, so legible, and just look so beautiful and seem to be everything I'd want in a watch, especially a dive watch. Now, I know that many may be quick to point out that these watches don't come on a bracelet, nor is one offered. And that might be a turnoff for some of you that love to wear a watch on a bracelet. But if that isn't really important to you, or even if it is, do yourself a favor and stick around and take a few minutes to learn about this independent French watch company called Horloscaphe. The name makes a lot of sense. Horology, which is the study and measurement of time, combined with bathyscaphe, which means a navigatable submersible for deep sea exploration. You put those two words together and you have Horloscaphe. However, I'd argue that most of us, especially of the American origin type, will have a more difficult time saying this name regularly. Let's get to the watch itself. This is the model NC001. NC stands for Nageur de Combat, which means combat swimmer. Like I said, this is how I would picture a diver's watch in my mind. Simple, easy to read, generous lume, matte black dial, white hands, functional timing bezel, skin diver case with your typical 200 meters of water resistance, solid Swiss movement, drilled lug holes for easy strap changes, nothing more, nothing less. So let's take a look at the dimensions of the watch. Like I said, this is a very wearable and comfortable case. It comes in at 39 millimeters. The lug to lug is just over 47 millimeters. There is 20 millimeter lug width, and the case thickness is just over 12 millimeters. If you look at the case, it's made out of 316L brushed stainless steel. There are just sharp angles, no chamfering, no polished edges, just a very clean cut, simple case design with nice turn down lugs to hug your wrist. And at 39 millimeters, this watch will fit just about any wrist comfortably. It sure does for me on my 7¼ inch wrist. The case back is also very simple with just a few touches that suggest it comes from France. Also, the Horloscaphe logo, which is inspired by the famous World War II Italian Melee 22-foot long pocket submarine. Let's take a look at the dial. It is matte black, snow white hands, and protected by a flat sapphire crystal with great inner AR coating. Now, if you go to the Horloscaphe website, you'll notice there are a couple of different dials on the NC001 model. But why? I mean, really, why would you not get the dial with this cute little whale on the dial? Well, that was my thought process when I saw the dial variants. Anyway, the dial has a simple 12, 3, 6, 9 hour dial format, which is very readable. And notice at the bottom of the dial, it says Fabrique en France, or made in France. The strong lume ensures maximum legibility as well. Speaking of the lume, it's Super Luminova BGW9, and it's very generously applied. Actually, this is one of the best applications of BGW9 that I've come across in any of my watches. If you watched some of my previous videos with military watches, you'd notice that I have this watch next to a couple of Precista watches that are British military previous issued, or in this case, reissued or homaged, however you want to look at it. But what you will notice is that the Horloscaphe follows a similar pattern with the black dial, white hands for maximum contrast and legibility, and very simple skin diver style type of case. If you take a look at the website and the different NC001 models, what you'll notice is that some of them have a black DLC bezel, and one has a stainless steel bezel like the one here in my hand. But what you'll notice is that I also have an extra bezel to change the look of this watch anytime that I want. And the bezel action on the NC001 is very tactile and it lines up perfectly. It's a 60 click unidirectional bezel that's very satisfying to use. Take a listen. If you take a look at the other offerings from this independent watchmaker, you'll notice that the NC001 is the most expensive of the 3 different models offered. The other models are the NC002 and the NC003. The NC003 is a quartz model, and one of them is actually oil-filled, which gives it 1,000 meters of water resistance. The NC002 looks like the NC001, like the same case, without the timing bezel, which is just replaced with a flat bezel with a little polished chamfer, which gives it more of a field or tool watch type of vibe. But it is also automatic. So speaking of the movement, the NC001 has an STP automatic movement, which seems to be more and more common in microbrands that want to offer a Swiss automatic movement inside the watch. This watch movement is the STP 1-11, which is an ETA 2824 clone, which has 44-hour power reserve and it beats at 28,800 beats per hour. Like I said, it's a movement that's pretty common with other microbrands, and from what I can tell, it's a nice Swiss workhorse. This particular movement does not have a date, and it has no ghost date position. The crown action, it is positive, and it has a nice engraved crown with the nice submarine logo. If you remember me doing a review of the New Zealand microbrand field watch, the Draken Aoraki, I actually sold that watch because the Horloscaphe took its place in my collection. I used to love that watch because of its legibility and just how easy it was to read the time when I looked down at my wrist. I feel the exact same way with this watch, so I figured, why do I need both in my collection? But you know, the funny thing is, this watch is no longer in my collection as it's being shipped to one of my best friends as a gift. Now stick around to the end. I'll give a shout out to him, the new owner of this great timepiece. He's one of my oldest and dearest childhood friends. The last thing I wanted to do before I let you go is just spend a little bit of time showing you what this watch looks like on different straps. Because I know some of you won't be happy that this watch doesn't have a bracelet option. But frankly, when I'm on the water, you know, whether it's the ocean or the lake, and I have a watch on my wrist, I always prefer wearing them on NATO straps. The reason why is if one of the spring bars fail, there's a better chance that the watch is still going to be attached to my wrist. If I'm wearing a watch with a bracelet and it fails, the watch will sink and disappear. Like I said, this watch is so easy to wear, and because of the black dial and the white indices and hands, it's an absolute strap monster. I know that's such an overused term, but it simply is. It goes with just about anything. Take a look. The NC001 is priced in at 627 euros at the time of filming, which is a little over 650 US dollars. Is that a good deal for this watch? Well, in my opinion, this watch gives you everything that you need, and it gives to you in a package with a Swiss automatic movement. If the movement is not so important to you and you can do with the Seiko NH35 movement in some other micro brand, You can find other black dial divers that are going to be less expensive, of course. But considering these watches are hand assembled in France by one single watchmaker, you can't help but feel that this watch is special. And frankly, that's what I look for in a watch, something that feels special to wear. And wearing the Horloscaphe NC001, I do get that feeling. Well, if you made it this far, let me introduce myself. My name is Blake. I'm a bit of a watchaholic, and I think if you've made it this far in the video, you're a watchaholic too. So thank you for spending your time with me. I appreciate it. And if you could just like and subscribe to this channel, like the video, I'd really appreciate that as well. I have a lot of new reviews coming out over the course of the next several months, so make sure you come back for more, and I'll see you in the next video.
Station